So the city and the team have finally come to an agreement. And now they have to bring that to the city council, which could be bringing a stadium of the future to Jacksonville. So what does that mean exactly? So let's take a look at it. How much is the thing going to cost is what everybody wants to know. And it's a hefty price tag. It is one that is going to cost a little over $1.25 billion for the brand new facility overall. Now, the good news is there's no new tax coming to Jacksonville taxpayers. I know that's what everybody wants to know. How are you going to pay for this thing? The majority of the money is going to come from the city side, is going to come from the Better Jacksonville plan. So they're going to keep that around. That's going to put the bill for them. And the Jaguars are going to split this thing right down the middle with the city, which is overall a really good deal. This is one that I think a lot of people should be excited about. I know the Jaguars and the city are excited about what it brings. So here's a look at the timeline of what you can expect next for the Jaguars and the city and for the stadium as a whole. So the hope is that they're going to be able to present this thing to the city council for a vote on June 25th. If it's approved, then you bring it right on down here to October 24th for the NFL owners vote. Now, if it's approved there, then all of a sudden, boom, 2025, February, they're starting construction on this bad boy. And all of a sudden, the ball is off and rolling. Now, that's not the end of the line. We've got a lot more stops on this timeline we got to get through. So when the construction begins right here, next, you got season 2025 at Everbank Stadium. And it's going to be a little bit of a decrease in capacity, but construction is going to ramp up in 2026, and that's when you have a huge decrease in capacity. Back here, we're right around 60,000 fans. Up here, maybe about 45, 46,000 fans. So 2026 is where you're going to notice some of the construction that's going on. And then 2027, team's got to play somewhere else. And construction's going to complete for 2028. So now, with the team needing to leave in 2027 and play somewhere else, where would the Jaguars play? If you're a season ticket holder, you just go to games. These are questions you want to know. Nobody wants to see the Jaguars playing outside of Jacksonville, right? Well, we've talked about a lot of different locations that could house the Jaguars for that season away while it was projected. So now it's down to two possible locations. On this side, Orlando. Camping World Stadium as an option. The Pro Bowl was there just a year ago, so the NFL is clearly comfortable with that location. On this side, I don't know if Gators fans can see the orange and blue speckled in there, but that's the Swamp, Ben Hill Griffin Stadium on the campus of University of Florida. Those are your two options for where the Jaguars could be in that 2027 season. They're home, away from home. I would expect that they'll pick one or the other, not a combination of the two. But there's definitely a tough decision here for the team to make on where they will end up playing. There's still a lot of conversation to be had. Of course, everything has to get approved, and the ball has to get rolling before a final location is selected for that 2027 season, and that is a couple of years away, so you still got some Jaguars football in Jacksonville to enjoy before the team leaves for a year and then comes back to a new building in 2028. A lot of excitement there, but a lot of questions still left to be answered about this whole stadium agreement, stadium proposal, and what's next for the stadium here in Jacksonville. So as the city and the Jaguars unveiled this, I got a chance to sit down with Jaguars team president Mark Lamping this week to kind of try and work through some of the unanswered questions that people want to know about what's going on and what's next for the stadium of the future. So do you feel like you're close to the finish line on this thing now? Can you see the finish line at this point? I know it's been a long road.
No, I mean it has been a long road, and this is a process, and we're entering into a distinct and different part of the process, and you know, don't know how long this part of the process is going to last. Sure. But the good news is it's the last part of the process. So from that perspective, you know, I feel good about that.
How close is this deal to maybe what you envisioned when you started this process?
Well, I think it's exactly what we'd hope it would have been, which is a very fair and balanced agreement between the Jaguars and the city of Jacksonville that does more than just produce a shiny new stadium, positions Jacksonville to be the site of more and more big events, provides benefits across the entirety of Duval County, and brings some development along with it. So from that perspective, we ended up exactly where we would have hoped.
You mentioned the development across Duval County. The community benefit plan portion of it has been one that has had some early pushback from some members of the city council. How important is that portion of this deal to getting this thing across the finish line for both sides and being able to keep that there?
Well, to have a investment of this magnitude, both from a public standpoint and a private standpoint, and miss the opportunity to have it benefit the entire region, that would be really unfortunate that a project of this size wouldn't be felt throughout the entire community.
So this deal ultimately comes down, it looks pretty much 50-50. When you present it to the NFL, do you anticipate any pushback getting it approved by the NFL owners?
Well, I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions. There's no, that's a certainty. We really can't speak for the 31 other owners. We have been in close contact with the National Football League, and we do know, where this deal may differ from some other deals that have been done in markets similar size to Jacksonville, and we'll have to be able to explain that. But, we're confident that we'll have a really good shot at being able to get this approved by the National Football League, again, assuming that the agreement is what it is at the end. I mean, it's not to say that the city council may want to change some things, and to the degree that that happens, I'd have to sort of take a step back and say we have to really assess that.
Look, I know there are some questions and people are on both sides of the fence about this deal. Here's the one thing that I will say. This is a pretty good deal to the point where I've asked multiple times to the Jaguars and the city, do you think the NFL is going to accept this? Look, a 50-50 split is not something that the NFL has made it's their business to sort of accept between teams and cities. So when it comes down to that standpoint, these sorts of deals don't happen very often. This is one that's going to benefit the team and the city in multiple ways. I know there are questions about where the money's coming from, should the money be spent, and there's going to be some discussion leading up to this thing. But when you start asking the question of, do you think the NFL is going to let this one fly, that normally means that the deal is pretty good for the city of Jacksonville.